The sun drops below the horizon. The light goes orange, then gray, then gone, and your body changes before you even notice it. Your pupils widen, your hearing sharpens, a chemical called melatonin starts flooding your brain, telling every cell in your body that the day is over. This isn't a modern reflex. This is 300,000 years old. For nearly all of human history, nightfall wasn't background noise. It was the single most dangerous, most intimate, most transformative part of every single day. And almost nothing about it looked like what you imagine. You picture early humans curling up in silence the moment the sky went dark. Total stillness, total fear. That's not what happened. Night was when the real work of being human began. Let's start with the obvious problem. No fire, no electricity, no streetlights, and you are one of the most physically fragile creatures in the African savanna. No claws, no fangs worth mentioning, no fur thick enough to matter. Lions can see in low light roughly 6 times better than you can. Leopards hunt almost exclusively after dark. So why didn't darkness wipe your ancestors out? The answer starts with fire. And the timeline is older than most people assume. Archaeological evidence from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa suggests controlled fire use stretching back roughly 1 million years. Long before Homo sapiens even existed. By the time your species shows up around 300,000 years ago. Fire wasn't a discovery anymore. It was infrastructure. Fire did 3 things at once. It kept predators at a distance. Since most large carnivores avoid open flame, it let you cook food, which researcher Richard Wrangham has argued was a turning point in human evolution. Because cooked food delivers more usable calories than raw food, fueling the energy-hungry brain you're using right now. And it created something else. Something easy to overlook. It created light in a world that otherwise had none. And light changes everything about what a day even is. Here's where it gets interesting. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years studying the Juhungski, a hunter-gatherer community in the Kalahari Desert, and she noticed something specific about their conversations. During the day, talk was practical, complaints, logistics, who did what, who owes what, but after dark, around the fire, the subject changed almost completely. Stories took over, myths, histories, jokes about absent relatives, accounts of distant ancestors. Wiesner's research found that nighttime firelight conversation was disproportionately devoted to storytelling compared to daytime talk. Think about what that means. Daylight was for survival logistics. Darkness was for culture. So let's reconstruct what an actual night might have looked like 3,000 years ago. The light is fading fast now. The way it does near the equator. Where dusk doesn't linger. You're not alone. You're with a group. Somewhere between 15 and 40 people. The rough size anthropologists estimate for early human bands based on studies of modern foragers and the carrying capacity of shared land. Someone feeds the fire. Sparks lift into a sky with no light pollution to dim them. A sky so dense with stars it looks almost solid. You sit close, not because it's romantic, because body heat matters and because a predator approaching the group has to get past dozens of pairs of eyes and ears instead of just yours. This is one of the oldest reasons humans are built to crave company at night. Alone in the dark, you are prey. In a group, you are something closer to untouchable. Someone starts talking. Maybe it's about a hunt from 3 days ago. Except now the animal is bigger and the danger more dramatic than it actually was. Maybe it's a story about how the moon got its shape. Or a warning dressed up as a folktale. The kind that teaches children which plants will kill them without ever saying the word poison directly. This was data transfer disguised as entertainment. And it worked for hundreds of thousands of years because stories stick in memory in ways that flat instructions don't. And then, eventually, sleep, but not the kind of sleep you're picturing. Historian Roger Eckertsch's research into pre-industrial sleep patterns found extensive evidence that humans across many cultures and eras didn't sleep in one unbroken 8-hour block. They slept in 2 segments. What's sometimes called first sleep and second sleep, with a period of quiet wakefulness in between, often used for low-key conversation, tending the fire, or simply lying awake in the dark thinking. Some researchers argue this 2-phase pattern may reflect something far older than recorded history. Possibly stretching back into the deep human past, shaped by exactly the kind of environment your ancestors were sleeping in. A fire that needed tending. A night that needed watching. Sleep, in other words, wasn't a private shutdown. It was a shared, semi-alert state, woven into the rhythm of the group. Here's the counterintuitive twist. You'd assume that nightfall, with its predators and its cold and its total absence of light, was the worst part of the ancestral day. The part survival depended on getting through. But a strong case can be made that night was actually when humans became human. Daylight was for the body. Hunting, gathering, walking, surviving. Night was for the mind. Bonding, teaching, myth-making, identity. Some anthropologists argue that firelight itself extended the human day in a way no other species experienced, adding hours of safe, low-stakes social time that primates without fire simply never had. More waking hours spent talking, not foraging, may have quietly accelerated the development of language, memory, and shared culture. The campfire wasn't just keeping you warm. It might have been one of the engines that built your mind. Now think about your own night. You probably don't fear the dark the way your ancestors should have. There are no leopards outside your window. But notice what you still do. Almost involuntarily, you dim the lights. You gather with people you trust. Even if it's just a phone call. You tell stories, even if you call them gossip. Or a show. Or a podcast playing while you fall asleep. You crave a screen's glow in the dark the same way your ancestors craved a fire's glow. A small circle of light holding the rest of the world at bay. And if you've ever woken up at 3 in the morning, fully alert, lying there in the quiet dark before drifting back off, you weren't experiencing insomnia. You were experiencing something closer to your default setting. Roger Eckertsch's research suggests that unbroken 8-hour sleep, the kind modern culture treats as the only correct way to rest, might be the unusual chapter in this story, not the normal one. 300,000 years of nightfall taught your species how to be afraid together, how to talk together, and how to rest together. All at once, around a single small flame. The sun still drops below the horizon. The light still goes orange, then gray, then gone, and your body still changes before you even notice it. Running a program written long before anyone thought to call it human.